A snail can sleep for 3 years without ever waking up once if the weather is not right. They need moisture to survive, so if it becomes too dry or too hot, they will crawl into their shells and seal the opening with a layer of slime. They stay in this deep sleep to protect their bodies from drying out until the rain finally returns. There's a place in Venezuela where lightning strikes almost every single night for hours at a time. It happens over the mouth of the Catatumbo River where it meets a large lake. The unique weather patterns there create a permanent storm that produces thousands of lightning bolts every hour. It is so bright and consistent that sailors have used it as a natural lighthouse for centuries. High heels were originally invented for men to wear while they were riding horses. The heel helped the rider keep his foot locked into the stirrup so he would not fall off during a battle or a fast gallop. It was only much later that women started wearing them as a fashion statement, and men eventually stopped wearing them altogether. Your brain is the most energy-efficient computer in the known universe. Even though it is capable of performing billions of calculations every second and controlling every move you make, it runs on about 20 watts of power. This is the same amount of electricity used by a very dim light bulb or a small nightlight, which is amazing considering how much work it does. There is a specific species of jellyfish, known as the immortal jellyfish, that can actually hit a reset button on its own life. When it becomes too old or gets injured, it sinks to the ocean floor and transforms its body back into a blob of cells. From there, it turns back into a baby polyp and starts its entire life cycle over again. This means it can technically live forever as long as it is not eaten by a predator. The planet Saturn is so incredibly light for its size that it would actually float if you could find a bathtub big enough to hold it. Even though it is a giant planet, it is mostly made of gases like hydrogen and helium. Because these gases are less dense than water, the entire planet would bob on the surface like a giant piece of wood or a beach ball. There's a forest in Utah that is actually just one single tree with a massive root system. It is called Pando, and it consists of nearly 50,000 individual trunks that all look like separate trees. However, they all share the exact same DNA and the same underground roots. It is considered one of the largest and oldest living organisms on the entire planet. When a person gets a kidney transplant, the surgeons usually do not remove the old, failing kidneys. Instead, they leave the original kidneys where they are and place the new third kidney in the lower part of the belly. This is because removing the old ones is a very difficult surgery, and unless they are causing an infection, it is safer to just let them stay. The footprints left by the astronauts on the moon will likely stay there for millions of years. Because the moon has no atmosphere, there is no wind to blow the dust away and no rain to wash the footprints out. The only thing that could erase them would be a meteorite hitting the exact same spot. So those human marks are effectively permanent. The Great Wall of China is not actually one continuous line, but is a series of mini walls and earthen banks. While it is incredibly long, it is a myth that you can see it from the moon with the naked eye. It is generally the same color as the ground around it and not wide enough to be visible from that far away without a very powerful camera lens. Every single person on Earth has a unique tongue print, just like they have unique fingerprints. The bumps, ridges, and shapes on your tongue are specific only to you, and no one else has a match. While we do not use tongue prints for security yet, they are technically a very accurate way to identify a human being. The Kingdom of Bhutan is the only country in the entire world that is carbon negative. This means that the giant forests in the country actually absorb more carbon dioxide than the entire nation produces. They have a law that says at least 60% of the country must always be covered in trees to protect the environment for future generations. There is a species of shark known as the Greenland shark that can live for over 400 years. They grow very slowly in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic and do not even reach adulthood until they are about 150 years old. There are sharks swimming today that were alive when the first explorers were crossing the oceans. Bananas are technically considered berries, while strawberries are not. In the world of science, a berry is a fruit that comes from one single ovary of a flower and has seeds inside the flesh. Bananas fit this description perfectly. However, strawberries have their seeds on the outside and come from a different part of the flower, so they're not true berries. The smell of freshly cut grass is actually a silent scream for help from the plants. When you run a lawnmower over the grass, the plants release chemical signals called green leaf follicles. These chemicals are meant to warn other plants that a predator is nearby or to attract insects that might help the plant defend itself from being eaten. There is more gold at the bottom of the world's oceans than has ever been mined by humans in all of history. Because the ocean is so deep and the gold is often dissolved in the water or buried under the seafloor, it is too expensive and difficult to get it out. If we could reach it, there would be enough gold for every person to have several pounds. The wood on a tree is technically made of air. Most people think trees get their mass from the soil, but they actually get it from the carbon dioxide in the sky. Through a process called photosynthesis, the tree pulls carbon out of the air and uses it to build its branches and trunk. The soil only provides a tiny bit of minerals and water. A bolt of lightning is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. While the sun is incredibly hot, a lightning strike can reach temperatures of 30,000 degrees Celsius in a split second. This intense heat is what causes the air to expand so fast that it creates the loud, booming sound we know as thunder. The smallest bone in your body is located inside your ear and is called the stapes. It is about the size of a single grain of rice. This tiny bone is essential for hearing because it vibrates to help carry sound waves into your inner ear. If this tiny bone did not work, you would not be able to hear any of the world around you. Elephants are the only animals in the world that cannot jump. Their bones and muscles are designed to carry an enormous amount of weight, which makes them very strong, but also very heavy. Because of how their legs are shaped and how much they weigh, it is physically impossible for them to get all 4 feet off the ground at once. The driest place on Earth is actually a series of valleys in Antarctica that have not seen rain or snow for nearly 2 million years. Even though Antarctica is covered in ice, these specific valleys are blocked by mountains that prevent moisture from reaching them. The air there is so dry that it is the closest environment on Earth to the planet Mars. In ancient Rome, people used to use crushed mouse brains as a type of toothpaste. They believed the ingredients would help clean their teeth and make them stronger. Thankfully, we have moved on to much better ways of keeping our mouths clean, but it shows how far human hygiene has come over the thousands of years of our history. There is an island in Japan that is almost entirely populated by thousands of friendly rabbits. It was once a place where chemicals were made, but now the rabbits are the main attraction. They are not afraid of humans and will often hop right up to visitors to ask for snacks, making it a very popular spot for tourists who love animals. Your eyes stay the exact same size from the moment you were born until you are an adult. However, your nose and your ears never stop growing throughout your entire life. This is because the cartilage in your nose and ears continues to break down and expand over time due to gravity, making them appear larger as you get older. Polar bears actually have black skin underneath all of that thick white fur. Their fur is not actually white, but is clear and hollow. It reflects the light from the snow to make them look white so they can hide. The black skin underneath is very important because it helps them absorb the heat from the sun to stay warm in the cold. There is a giant wall of water in the middle of the ocean called the Sargasso Sea that has no shores. It is surrounded by 4 different ocean currents that keep the water trapped in a giant circle. The water inside is very calm and clear, and it is filled with a unique type of seaweed that provides a home for many strange sea creatures. A small child could swim through the veins of a blue whale. Their bodies are so incredibly large that their main artery is about 1 foot wide. Everything about them is giant, including their lungs, which can hold thousands of liters of air, and their mouth, which is big enough to hold an entire room full of people. An eagle can kill a young deer and fly away with it. These birds are incredibly strong and have talons that can grip with a force stronger than a human hand. They are one of the most powerful predators in the sky, and they've been known to hunt animals that are much larger and heavier than they are. Some mountains are actually growing smaller over time because of erosion. The wind and the rain slowly wear away the rock and carry the dust down into the valleys. While the Earth's crust might be pushing some mountains up, the weather is constantly trying to pull them back down, creating a slow battle between the land and the sky. Your brain can sometimes create false memories of things that never actually happened. If someone tells you a story about your childhood enough times, your brain might start to picture it and eventually believe it is a real memory. This shows that our minds are very creative, but they're not always perfect at remembering the exact truth.